Welcome to another episode of Through the Web with me, your co-host Tawsif.
Me, Dagogo.
We're on episode 25.
Mm-hmm.
That's 1/4 of a century.
Yes, that is
quarter way to century. So I think it's a
good milestone.
That's a good milestone to have, especially when we talked about Pot Fade being episode 6 usually. So we've far, left it behind us. But how was your week? Otherwise, Dagogo?
Yeah, it was good. We'll get on to an interesting thing that I was delving into this week. But yeah, it was good. Just, working on some videos and just the usual. How about yourself?
Yeah, same here. We had the National Day of Mourning yesterday, which essentially was for the passing of Queen Elizabeth. And it was a national holiday, which was, I guess, personally a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, it was kind of... they got to it pretty quick.
Yeah, which is quite interesting because usually, public holidays are here in Australia. Different states get holidays in different days just to make sure the economy is kind of running smoothly and stuff like that. Which is why this was quite interesting to see how quickly they got onto it. So they probably would have planned something like this ahead of time that, okay, we have a day like that when the Queen passes. So the good thing about that is Monday as well is a public holiday. So a lot of people are taking today off, which is a Friday. So 5-day break for many, except us. No break for us.
We're always grinding. So
none for content creators.
Yeah, I guess maybe some of you know how it is. So yeah.
Did you watch anything this week? Let's get straight into it. Okay, because I don't even want to talk about something.
Okay, this one might take a little while, but I'll try and be quick. So essentially, I went on a lovely musical discovery, a nice little musical journey. About a couple of musical genres that I kind of had a gap in my knowledge of. So I'm not sure where to begin this story because maybe I'll begin it. Okay, so in 2012, I was in Malaysia and I was there with a friend and we're walking through like this food market kind of area. And I had some headphones on. I was just listening to like a mix I downloaded from YouTube. And I think it was the first or second song that came on was an artist called Balam Akab. He's an American from Pennsylvania, I think. But it was just so out of this world and I had never heard anything like it. So at this point, like that changed my entire view of electronic music for good. It was over. After I heard that track, I was changed. So I knew that from that point that electronic music could actually be art. Like before I hated it. I thought like...
I'm just pushing some buttons.
Yeah. Some guy on a laptop pushing some buttons, not doing anything and it's just mindless and stupid. But this just, the creativity and the amount of details and I guess the soundscape that he built was just something that was just amazing. So that got my, I guess, curiosity piqued and I started going online and finding out about this other artist and then found there was this whole wave of this new like electronic music that was coming out, that 2011, 2012 period. And, I started getting inspiration from that and that's kind of where I started Burn Water from because I was hearing this kind of stuff and then I was like, I want to make this myself. And then if you hear my earlier stuff, it's like influenced by that a lot. But then, I went on, grew up and now I'm here. But the thing is I never kind of understood where that wave came from. And in my book, I wrote about it very briefly and I kind of just said it was a product of the internet. People were just inspired by others and just kind of caused this explosion of new sounds and all of this kind of stuff. But turns out that's kind of right. That's how it spread so quickly. But the genesis of it was what I didn't know. The best way I putting it is like I was like, how you have a boat going through like the ocean and then you have like the waves that come out from that boat. So in 2012, I was being hit by those waves, but I didn't know what the boat was really. So
a nice analogy.
Yes. So this is what brings me to the story. So earlier in this week, I found this guy on YouTube who was making documentaries about dubstep, right? It seems totally unrelated, right? Because dubstep, you think of Skrillex and...
I think it was that long video, or that 45 minute? I think I would have
45 minute video.
Who's it by again?
So his name is a weird name. It's got like Timothy O something around.
Right. I think I've seen that one. It's because that was quite popular video.
Yeah, now it's 2.1 million views.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But he put out another one called Why James Blake is the Greatest Producer of All Time.
I've seen that one as well.
You seen it?
Yeah.
You seen the whole thing?
Yeah, because I love James Blake.
Yeah.
His and I don't know if it was that video, but just again on a completely different tangent, one of his most popular songs, the Wilhelm Scream.
Wilhelm Scream. Yeah.
It's actually a cover of his dad's song,
yeah.
which was incredible. I know we're nerding out on music, so please do continue to listen to us.
Yeah, please.
This is not a music podcast, but go on about the James Blake video.
So you understand.
Yes.
So essentially, so I watched those two videos and I started watching like other stuff on dubstep and like that scene. And I think what was cool about his videos, those two, like probably 2 hours of content in total, what was cool about that was he was there. He was there at that time when dubstep was just forming and the scene was like getting overtaken by. So essentially, where we start the musical journey of the James Blake phenomena is like garage, like music from
because
like that kind
because
of.
he was in the boiler rooms and stuff like that as well.
It's a genre, garage.
Oh right.
Yeah. So like Craig David. That kind of stuff. So from the year 2000 back in the day, that kind of stuff. So that was huge in the UK and whatever. And then that was the predominant like dance music, I guess, and it was kind of very glitzy and glamoury and whatnot. But then there started being like a lot of like something went quite wrong in the scene. There was a lot of violence, and then the government literally shut down garage music at clubs, and then people kind of were looking for something else and what else they could do. And at that same time, the Jamaican influence, because there's a lot of Jamaicans in the UK, they had massive sound systems and they would kind of MC over beats and that kind of thing. So from their influence came kind of like a darker, slower version of garage, which eventually turned into like the dubstep scene, it's extremely different to what you imagine Skrillex to be. It's, very almost quite eerily empty in terms of like what they put in their songs. It's like usually just like some Jamaican MCing and very heavy bass and that kind of thing. But then over time, there's this new genre that kind of came into the dub house scene, which was like tear out, which was like that wah wah, that kind of stuff where the bass is like all MIDI and very harsh and abrasive, and that started getting into all the clubs and the dance scenes, and then the original guys kind of left, and that was kind of the end of dubstep, and then Skrillex took over, and then that was the end. But at that time, when dubstep was kind of dying, is when James Blake came in with a completely different take on it. So he took that, emptiness and the slowness, but instead of being quite dark, he flipped it on its head, where he introduced one, R&B vocals, and two, quite lush, like gospel sounds and that kind of elements in terms of the musicality of it. And no one had heard something quite like that in the dubstep scene. And really, since that was done, that kind of changed everything. So a lot of artists started taking that like kind of lighter approach to their music production, which kind of started, he was the first artist to kind of start this whole electronic wave. So when he did that, everyone kind of looked at that and said, oh, that's new, that's interesting. And that was kind of the proliferation of it. So just learning about that and seeing the root elements of where this music wave came from, because we're still feeling the effects today. Like a lot of artists still take on those elements from those early 2010s, and it's so prolific. If you hear some of his early James Blake's early stuff, it sounds like it's stuff from today, because that's kind of where it came from. But there's one last piece to this puzzle before I wrap up. There's an artist called Burial. So he was, you probably know, but 2006, he was doing his own thing during the height of dubstep, but he just did it in a completely different way again. Like usually dubstep was quite empty and dark, but he brought R&B vocals again into that in terms of samples, but made it very organic and emotional. And James Blake got some influence from him actually. So I think those two together are the nexus of it. But yeah, so I think, long story short, end of this rant it just combined two of my favorite things, learning and music. So I was just having so much fun.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And I think there's one part of the video, and I could be wrong, where the term house music came from is because they were doing a lot of these events in a warehouse to start with. And I think they started calling it the house music.
Yeah. So I don't know. I saw this in another documentary, I think. But so what happened was there was these music being made in warehouse. Sorry, not made in warehouse, but people were dancing to like old, disco records, like sped up with like beats and stuff. There was no name for it, but then there was a particular record shop that people would come in and say like, oh, like where's that house music? Like where, like the music that's made in that warehouse kind of thing. And then like the name kind of caught on from that record store, and people were just like, yeah,
So they're calling it the house music. Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
When you first told me that you went on a musical journey, I actually thought it was some sort of an event. Like you went there and there was like, like live performances of people kind of,
it was
talking
a YouTube
about
musical journey. I should have.
Wow. Okay. So basically down the rabbit hole of music. Okay. Fair enough. Well, looks like you've kind of learned a fair bit of things and inspired as well.
So if anyone does follow Burnwater, the next track I release will be like particularly just what I've been thinking from watching this. Like, this track will be quite different from other stuff. So
that's great.
Stay tuned.
Do you think that was because you watched these things?
Of course. Because, I was thinking about Burial's music and what made his music so special. And then I was also thinking about the James Blake element, how it was quite minimal and there was silence. So in this track that I'm doing, like I've kind of got like 3 tracks of folly. So that is like there's a forest like going through, and then there's like a rainstorm, and then also like static from like a record player. But I put that all together, like glued them together, but then compressed them with the kick, so it kind of like comes in. So it's like it's like this. It makes it like really organic. That's the only way I can really put it. And then I put a synth doing the same thing, so it sounds like the synth is being like squeezed through this like grainy record and like pumping in and out. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome that a couple of YouTube videos is making you pushing you towards creating art. Yeah, and that's something I think about and I say, and this could be an original quote. So down the line, people can have my face and the quote beside it when I become famous enough. Right. But essentially, I always feel that the hallmark of good art is when it inspires more art. Because there's so many different ways of thinking, oh, this is good, this is bad, this is good. But I think every time there has been art that it inspires others to create art or inspires others to produce more, create more, I think that is like the primary trait of what good art should be. And people should kind of, look towards doing that more and more if they create stuff. Because essentially, that's what we're here on this earth for, just create more and hopefully, it helps people to create more, and it's almost like a full-on wave that keeps going.
So just one last thing. So in all of this, I watched an hour interview with James Blake just talking about different stuff, and he kind of said something a bit similar. He was talking about his music and how he hopes that if someone listens to it and it helps them, that's like the best thing. It can actually make an effect on the world, because the person listens to that music, they feel a little better, and then they treat someone else well, and that person may or may not pay that back, but it's like the effect can grow, and you've done that through your creation. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, awesome. Well, great music tidbits on our tech podcast.
Yeah, all right. Let's get to the tech, shall we?
Is for me what I watched this week. Nothing in particular, but one of my favorite creators of all time is back doing regular videos, and that's Casey Neistat.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Andrew Tate.
And we've been speaking about it before. Like this is something I stood by when I said that people really don't get cancelled, because as soon as he got cancelled, he's been all over my feed. Of course, I mean, his personal accounts has been quote unquote cancelled, but he's been everywhere doing interviews, doing podcasts, and his shorts are on my feed like 24/7. Anyway, not here to talk about Andrew Tate. But yeah, Casey Neistat, he's, for those who follow him or those who he revolutionized what vlogging really was in that mid 2015, 2016 era. And that was when I picked up on his work. And he, again, was one of those creators who's really inspired the way I think about videos in general, especially YouTube videos, and on what you can do as, being a creative, having a creative mind, as well as someone who knows how to tell a story well, and just combining all of that. And the fact that he's doing more videos, because he took a bit of a break when he moved away from New York. Now he's back in New York. And yeah, I've never been to New York, and this is something I say all the time, that how think it's just the branding of New York has this pull, for me, just over the years, ever since I was growing up. Like everything you look at, all the big pop culture stuff has New York.
Of course.
The music, the movies, the TV shows, and then through YouTube as well. Like on Case's videos, New York is like the backdrop, is a character in itself. And that, again, just seeing him back on the streets on New York almost feels like such a wholesome kind of feeling. It's weird.
So it's interesting because I think I follow Casey Neistat on Twitter, but for some reason I've seen quite a few of his tweets. But he's always been talking about LA and how he misses New York.
Yeah.
Like he keeps tweeting about that. So it's good to see.
And now he's back.
Yeah, it's good to see that he went back.
So yeah, that's all my I guess viewing that I did. Just binge watching 3 or 4 of his videos that he's uploaded. Probably the most in years, in a week's time that he's uploaded.
So is it, what kind of content is it?
Just him back doing just vlogs. I think for now it's more of him, making the comeback to New York. But it's going to be interesting to see how he carries on that kind of thing, because that whole daily grind was not sustainable. It's not sustainable for any sane human being, and he's mentioned it towards the end of his, because he uploaded like 500 something videos in consecutively without missing a day. And towards the end of it, like he was telling, it's putting a pressure on my family and relationship, and even with his wife, where he wasn't present at the time. I was always thinking, what next shot? Exactly, what shot can I get from just being in this room with my family, right? So that obviously has a negative effect. So I don't know what kind of content he'll continue, but it's more of a nostalgic kind of, which is so weird because
it's not that long ago.
It's not that long ago, and it's almost like it's it's not a TV show. It's not like it's just another human being I've never met, and I'm just followed his life through the whole journey, and there's still such a great connection to this person. So yeah, it's quite interesting. Okay. On to tech news. Yeah. Huge news this week about the Rockstar game hack. Do you wanna?
Yeah, I was following along. I think I saw it on Twitter 2 hours after it happened, and I was like, "What is this real?" That was my first thing, and obviously now we know that was the real hack. Then first thing I did, went on YouTube to see a lot of the footage, like scrub through, see what we could see, and then since then there's been a bunch of people analyzing each detail, and because it's all been ripped off of YouTube now. Like Rockstar went hard with the lawyers, so they DMCA'd. Copyright struck everything, but people have kind of downloaded it, going through forums and discussing and seeing what they can take out of it. So very interesting on that point, but then even more interesting is who was behind it. So apparently a 16-year-old kid with who's the spokeshead of a hacker group who also did Uber and Samsung and a few other huge companies. So it kind of makes you think, these companies multi-billion-dollar profits or revenues, and they're undone by a group of teenagers.
It seems like a common story or common theme as well, like where a lot of these hacks are done by like quite young people as well, and not necessarily by like a fully trained team by a government or something like that. Foreign government doing this kind of stuff. But yeah, it was quite crazy. Like for those who don't know, Rockstar Games, one of the biggest gaming companies in the world, famous for their Grand Theft Auto and also few other
Red Dead Redemption, lots of games.
Lots of big games, and essentially GTA 5 came out maybe 4, 5, 6,
9 or 10 years ago. I think
already?
2013. Yeah,
2013. That's right. Wow. Yeah, almost 9 years ago. So GTA 6 was like very highly anticipated by gamers all around the world, and the fact that the leak got out was not only. I think the gaming community was mixed between shock and sympathy, and somewhere there was always obviously a portion who just were happy or just simply because they got to see it earlier or something like that.
That was me. I was like, cool. Like even though I understand it's like test footage and everything, was like, wow, this is like at some point this is part of the game. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm one of those people like. And I'm not a huge gamer, but GTA 5 I loved. Like the original back in the day, I played it when it came out. And then, periodically over the years, I've been looking for like any leaks or updates or whatever. And I think the last time I did was literally like a month ago. And then people were like, like there's this palm tree and this other trailer for something. It could be in like LA again, and then like that's the most you
about
get.
it,
So this was like wow,
a huge thing, yeah. But I think Rockstar obviously had a statement that came out after the leak saying, that they're trying everything they can to make sure that the game still kind of goes out on time, because this actually has an effect on the project timeline as well. Because once the leaks are out, because they have a whole PR campaign, marketing campaign, promotional campaign that they have to plan as they periodically release it out. I felt quite bad from that perspective because, as a creator myself, for example, I'm quite protective of how I show things to people or the audience, and I want to have them get that element of surprise. So which is why I hate getting spoiled by things, and I want to feel that feeling like, imagine the first time you're seeing it on like a proper resolution, or I think that rush is what I want to provide as a creator. So from that standpoint, I was really upset, like Rockstar Games, or at least a lot of the devs and the creators of the game would be thinking, oh man, like I've planned this whole thing out, and now it's just out. Right?
But the thing is, did you look at the leaks at all?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. But that's the thing. There wasn't any spoilers. There wasn't anything like that. It was like real like pre-alpha footage of just testing character animations and a few scenes. Some dialogue, a bit of driving. It wasn't like, it was just elements of the game.
Right. The stories or anything like that.
And a lot of the assets were like placeholders from like GTA 5. So this was literally just development kit kind of stuff. So it wasn't, if it was literal game play footage or like something that was a spoiler, I would be upset as well. But this was just not really
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But why this actually is a huge deal, as you mentioned, is because it's just random group of teenagers or something, or maybe just one in this case. I think he goes by the name of Teapot Uber Hacker is his name on the GTA forums. And he did this actually by breaching Rockstar Games' internal feed on the Slack messaging app. So technically it could have been a loose end from Slack for him to get access, and then basically, go ahead and do all that kind of stuff. And I think what people are more scared of, or at least Rockstar Games, is the fact that he claims that he has access to the source code from the game.
Well, he leaked it.
Yeah, and as apparently he's been offering for sale as well. So that is going to be a much bigger blow than just the footage just coming out.
Yeah, so people are saying that could actually cause a lot of havoc in terms of security, online security with GTA. So, piracy and all this kind of stuff. They're saying that the source code it's not good to have that out in that sense.
And it's also IP, isn't it? It would be,
of course. Yeah. And I've also heard that he has more stuff that is threatening to leak. So, for a 16-year-old to hold one of the biggest gaming companies ransom is just it's 2022. What can you say?
Usually in the other cases that I've seen is that they're usually fans of these things, and they just exploit a little security gap, and then they tend to work with the companies afterwards, like, because they're fans of it.
White hat hackers, I think.
Exactly. But in this case, if he's kind of holding them ransom, I don't think he's a fan of the game.
I think Rockstar has a lot of people I feel bad for the devs, but not for Rockstar, because Rockstar kind of, everyone's like, oh, they just want to rip people off, and they're a big gaming company.
Yeah, and I was watching this other video of how there hasn't been like a good game in the popular scheme of things, if you think about it. So I think when the first,
as in a good game that's been really popular recently.
Yeah, without a lot of I'd say negative reviews or
Stray. That was
which one? Sorry,
Stray. That came out
on the mainstream side of things. So if you go back, for example, like when first,
so you're talking like Call of Duty kind of stuff.
That's right. Okay. That's right. So if you go back to those kind of early days, there would be like really big games and good games from these big companies like Rockstar and Epic Games and stuff like that. Although Epic Games would be a little later, but what has happened is that over the last 5-6 years, a lot of these games on the mainstream side of things, mainstream companies, have just been very stale or quote unquote money grabbing. If you look at EA, you look at Rockstar, you look at
EA is the worst.
EA is just on that.
I'm so sorry. This is another tangent. The Need for Speed series though, that was one of my favorite series growing up, and they just trashed it into the ground. All they would have to do, get Need for Speed probably like Underground or Underground 2, remaster it, add some new little flair here and there, that would sell like hotcakes. And people wouldn't even be that mad because it's like a good basis for a game. But what they're doing now with like the character-driven stories and stuff that's just like, people talking in your ear when you're trying to drive, and it's like, just shut up. Like, and the cars are like freaking toy like, I don't know, like the way they handle, you could like do a like U-turn at 300 k's an hour. But not really, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's not realistic at all. Like, I get the arcade side of things, but it's just stupid. It's not fun anymore because it's just so...
Yeah, I haven't played since Underground 2, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, it's gone way down here.
Because Underground 2 was so good.
That was one of the
like
best.
The first I think Underground and Underground 2 was, and I think back then the Fast and Furious movies were also not that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
like Tokyo Drift came out around the same time.
It kind of melded everything,
exactly.
like the
pop
racing culture, the hip hop and everything. Pimp My Ride was a thing then. It was all just the perfect time.
And funnily enough, I found out about the Doors from NFS Underground.
The band?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because the Riders on the Storm, they had the thing with Snoop Dogg. That was like the intro song of the thing, and I would be saying, "Oh, Riders on the Storm," and then because back then internet obviously wasn't as accessible, and I got into the Doors through that, and so every time when somebody says, "Oh, people are just lazy of when they're covering songs or they're just ruining originals and stuff," I feel that's at least for a good chunk of people listening in, that becomes a gateway to the original sounds. And so many bands I found that way, that this is the original. It's like, and then I just go on the rabbit hole. I know I'm probably on the minority, but there's a whole chunk of people who do that. So
but EA is probably the worst offender. But look, even for Rockstar though, like Red Dead Redemption 2, that wasn't that long ago. That was pretty good. I think that was overwhelmingly positive.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you played it?
No, I'm not that much of a. The only thing I play is Warzone. And FIFA, but the funny thing is, this was the first year that I did not buy a FIFA. Prior to that, I think since FIFA 2006, maybe even probably 1998, I probably have had every single FIFA.
Yeah, I got 98 as well, World Cup 98.
Yeah, so that was the big one, and I've bought every single one, played every single one. I've played this one at friends' places and stuff, but I did not buy it this year, and this is the first time, which kind of. I think.
So why? Was it just not enough reason, or?
Yeah, it's like first of all, just gaming as a whole, I'm trying to stay away from because that just eats up so much of my productive time. So the only time I've allocated is for Warzone 1 to 2 hours a week, and just with friends.
Yeah.
I don't think I have enough friends who play EA, FIFA, which is why I'm just kind of staying away from it.
Right.
Just trying to be productive. Yeah.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Like I've kept it to like. Only on weekends, like me and my girlfriend, we play games together, and then like that's the only time I really do it. And it's kind of like having another person who doesn't play at all, is not into tech and everything, is another interesting perspective,
right? To
see what works for different people. But
exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I kind of agree in terms of the cash grabbing thing, but not totally. There's some bright spots. I think literally in the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to be seeing like a renaissance in terms of gaming. Because the technology in terms of hardware is it's rocketing up, but then the software stuff is like crazy, like all the AI that's starting to get into there, and in terms of Unreal Engine 5 and how easy it is to make a game, just cutting out loads of tedious work for entire teams, and like even sadly replacing the jobs of some people. Like there'll be some people that will be dedicated to looking at how the shadows will look in different lighting situations and designing that and hard baking them in. Now that's just automatic in the game engine. Just things like that, I think. It's inevitable that we'll be seeing some really cool stuff.
Yeah, like some of the footage from Unreal Engine 5 is actually unreal. You're right. I think you're spot on. I think over the next few years, we'll get games that'll be so cool. But I feel that if the stories aren't that
a lot of people have that argument. It's like there's no point having great graphics if your stories are crap. But the thing is, I think that because these things are easier to produce with better graphics, there'll be more time for story, hopefully, anyway. So it's like instead of putting all your teamwork on like this aspect or that aspect in terms of technical, tedious stuff, you can focus on the core of the game and just like how do we want this story to play out. So I think that lead will come from the indie developers because that's usually they benefit the most because they don't need a AAA budget anymore, and they think outside the box.
That's right.
So I'm positive. I'm actually positive on this, but hopefully it's not just like, there's a video I saw about like when Unreal Engine first came out, there was this guy that's like, this is so awesome, but we're going to see so many scams. Like people that just get stock assets and like make a trailer, get like all the Indiegogo money and then just don't make the game. Like, because it just looks so good, but it's so easy to make now. So
yeah, and I think there will be a level, like there will be a lot of, because once Unreal Engine 5 and all those things that make the games look good will be too accessible, that won't be the driving point for the game anymore. Because right now there aren't that many regular indie games or even mainstream games that look that good yet. Once that becomes a level playing field, I think the only games that'll succeed is through the story and how well it can captivate the player. So I think you'll see a lot of games that look good. It's going to come out at first, and then it'll slowly level out, and then the ones that'll rise are and same thing with Midjourney and stuff like that. Like now it's like I can tell what a Midjourney image looks like because it's just so similar. Everybody can write a prompt that's okay, and it'll show up something. And now it's not, again, it's like not novel anymore. Yeah, it's like, big deal. A fucking raccoon is in the moon.
What is it with raccoons? Someone tell me.
It's like a raccoon riding a horse on the moon. It's like, okay.
Okay, so there's two branches I want to go off here. So since we're talking about AI, I'll do that one first, then I'll talk about a bit of tech stuff. But with, I saw someone who had made like a little API or app using one of these neural AI generated imagery softwares, and literally you can go into a house and point something at a wall, type in like corn wallpaper, and then it will, like, you know how AI, when it kind of dreams up something, it would like fizzle in. So it does that, and then you just type something else and it turns the wallpaper. It's like motion tracked to your phone and everything. And then I saw another one where it changed the actual room into like continually generated different furniture and everything as it was going around, and it was like I don't know. It's just like we're at this stage where weird things are like starting to happen. You know, like when this AI generation gets into real time imagery, it's just, I don't know.
A couple of points on this note. One is I saw that there is a whole like wave of creators who are selling prompts.
Yeah, there's a prompt book that you can buy.
I didn't know about the prompt book, but I saw there was like a whole website where people are just selling their prompts, like uniquely, thought of sentences that would give certain things, and it's crazy.
But then this is so much. This really demonstrates where the perceived value is. So it's not so much the generation of art anymore; it's the ideas. Like these ideas, like people are willing, well, I think so, to pay for these prompts, which is like, where the value seems to lie in this pipeline, which is it's wild to think about.
It is like that's how soon, like, only in March, April, maybe even later, we were talking about DALL-E 2 and what's the other one? Stable Diffusion. It's only like a month or two old. Like it's as you predicted. I think it was gonna be a horseshoe kind of thing where it's just gonna go crazy. Because on that note, there's also a video editing a platform which uses AI. It's called Runway. I don't know if you saw that one.
Not sure.
Okay, so Runway, basically it's text to video prompts.
Okay.
So live text that you can just write and then just remove this part, and it'll help
I think
remove.
I have seen a trailer for that on Instagram.
Exactly. Yeah. And there, you can remove objects. There's like green screen that you can use, and all of it through just text-based stuff, because that would be the next frontier after images, right? Yeah. And again, like in my head, like the amount of work that it cuts out is incredible for video editors. Just simply type. Like that's it. That's so cool.
Yeah, and this is just the early stages, man. So like, we'll probably be seeing some weird artifacts and stuff now, but like in 2 years they'll be gone.
Even in the iPhone, like now you can crop have you seen that?
Hold and it's like that's AI.
Exactly. And the amount of, if you've ever used Photoshop, the amount of time and effort.
The trim tool.
Well, yeah, exactly. Just have to sit down, just zoom in and just slowly draw. That's gone. Yeah. I love it, but again, there will be a few people, as you said, who will potentially lose work if that's what they're specialized in.
But the thing is, like, it is the tedious stuff, though.
Exactly.
But speaking of AI, kind of combining this back to the gaming thing, NVIDIA came out with their newest graphics cards. They announced them. So I don't have anything written on. It's the 4000 series, I think. So in the video I watched, he was kind of talking about how the comparison that NVIDIA did was quite misleading with their previous graphics card. because they said you can get 2 times the performance. So they had the bar going like, for this game, it's this many frames, like 100 frames. And then for the previous generation, it was 50 frames. It's like, wow. But then in the fine print, it says that the old graphics card was using DLSS 2 and the new one was DLSS 3, whatever the acronym is. But the thing is the new graphics card, the old graphics card can't run the 3 version. And the differences between the two is that the DLSS, is that it?
I don't know.
Okay.
You want to look it up?
Yeah, DLSS.
Brayden says that's it. That's it.
Okay, DLSS 2, that was using upscaling. So, you had your, 720p image and upscaled it to whatever, 1440p, doing that 60 frames per second or whatever. But the third version does something quite interesting. It literally interpolates frames. So you'd have one frame here, the next frame here, and these 2 frames are generated by the actual game engine, but then the AI system generates a frame in between them. Wow. And it does this all within the hardware. It's got like some little engine within the graphics unit that does this. And it takes load off the CPU, so your computer's only looking at say it's a 60 frame per second frame rate that you would normally be getting. Your computer's looking at this and saying, okay, it's 60 frames per second, it's doing that much work, but then the AI is generating like another frame, so like you get extra frames. So I thought that was wild, absolutely wild. But the thing is, people aren't sure how this is going to work yet, because NVIDIA can say, yeah, you can get this frame rate, but how does it look for like FPS? Like if you're turning around rapidly and cameras moving around, will you get ghosting? Will it be strange? But on the other hand, I think NVIDIA is like one of the leaders within AI, so they know what they're doing. So that's just another example of AI trickling into things and just like changing the game, man. It's wild. So AMD might be in trouble with their graphics card this iteration, right? Well, this time round. So
it's just exciting times all over, man. Yeah. Every industry you look at, there's just new potential that's getting unlocked, and that's what I love about tech in general.
Yeah, we're living in really just such an exciting time in that sense. Like all I'm looking for is something that just like combines so many things together in a way that's like not thought of, and then it's kind of like, that's what we should be doing. I don't know what that is, but like in terms of getting different AI from different places to do stuff.
I think that you once mentioned that the next big thing would be like a very natural assistant on your phone, or like a robot of some sort that you can actually hold a conversation with.
Yeah, and I think we have the technology literally now, but I think there's a lot of safeguards that have to be put in place before that's unleashed. But that would be something that would
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like just this floating. Or
why does it have to be?
I don't know. Like I can just call for it and like whoop, just come like, hey, can you just do something for me?
What it should be, instead of being like, how Google now comes up with the card and then Siri has the thing, you should have like a projector that comes out of your phone with a 3D ball that you can talk to.
That's like the, what do you call it? The typical sci-fi films that have been showing that for ages.
Yeah.
So how far are we from those Minority Report type, just floating? I don't know, whatever that is.
You can get like probably like a Alibaba version for like $10. Probably doesn't sense your hand properly, but no. But that I think it's possible. In terms of how accurate and good it would be, I don't know. But like you can do it. Like it's not. Yeah.
As usual, I'm sure the army has it already.
But somewhere I was hearing that kind of inspired bits of the iPhone UI, but that was just a rumor. I haven't actually looked into that. So.
The next news is about Twitch. So I don't know if you've been following over this week, but they've announced that they are doing a partial gambling ban targeting slots, relay, and dice games. So that the Amazon-owned live streaming platform will bar videos of gambling sites not licensed in the US or other jurisdictions that provide sufficient consumer protection. The ban includes cryptocurrency gambling sites. So I don't know if you've been following it, but over the last, I would say, couple years, this whole wave of gambling creators that just kept rising on Twitch, where they would literally play a game on one of these sites, gambling sites, and these sites would sponsor those videos, and then they'll try and hook the people watching live into it, spend some money on it. At the time of this podcast, there are more people watching Twitch streamers gambling on virtual slot machines than playing Minecraft. That's actually a huge number. With Twitch Tracker estimating slots are the 10th most popular type of content on the platform. So as you can tell, like of the types of content that's popular on Twitch, that's on number 10. Promoting gambling sites can be particularly lucrative for streamers. With someone like Tyler Nicknam, who's a prominent Twitch creator with more than 2.1 million followers, claiming that one such site gives him more than $1 million each month to gamble with. So this has been brewing for a long time, and it's given birth to scammers, people losing money, just a whole mess. And I think Twitch has finally taken that step to ban, at least partially, fantasy bets, sporting bets, all that kind of stuff are still okay for now, but this kind of stuff is completely gone. But what's interesting is, because it was such a large driver of views and retention and engagement, I think Twitch could also be in trouble down the line.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt that they'll be losing some of their viewer base. If it's number 10 in terms of category, that's quite a lot of people. But they kind of had to balance it here. Like, do they want that bad PR from people losing money and being known as a gambling site? What if it kept rising through the ranks and Twitch is just mostly gambling?
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. And I'm not a very big person on Twitch. I'm not very into it. So it's interesting to see that has been a space for it to kind of thrive. I don't know, what happens from here. Like, will all these people who would love this kind of stuff just find another streaming website and then Mixer kind of takes off from this? Or I don't know.
Well, like you don't ever use Twitch at all? Have you ever followed anyone or anything? Yeah, same here. I don't know, for some reason I've never gotten onto the whole live streaming kind of action. I do watch, other people playing games. This is a category that a lot of people question. Like, oh, why are you watching other people play games? Like, I watch live sports. That's the exact same concept. But on Twitch, the whole part of live video watching, I've never gotten into it. But Twitch, as you mentioned, they've always had these loopholes that allowed certain types of content to thrive in there. That gambling being one. Certain adult kind of videos as well, and also for like a lot of pirated content as well.
Oh, really?
So yeah, like people would upload.
Oh, but they're reacting to
exactly.
It. Yeah.
They're quote unquote reacting to, which YouTube would like take down immediately. Even if you're reacting to, especially like legacy type of content, like I don't know. I think there was this whole thing about MasterChef being available on Twitch as soon as it was aired live or something like that. And then I think it got on the news, and then it eventually got taken down. But things like that used to thrive on Twitch. On that note, I saw this TikTok about Spotify videos hosting entire movies. So people are actually uploading full-on movies on Spotify videos, and Spotify is not that, I guess, complex enough to or savvy enough to capture all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So people literally just go on Spotify. latest movies are just all on Spotify and just watching there, which is incredible.
Don't tell anyone. This is crazy. Wow, I had no idea. At all. But then again, the Spotify like video player is pretty crap.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people are using direct, like on their laptops and PCs, on the desktops, pretty much. Because of the Spotify player.
Oh right.
Yeah. So the video there is a little bit better than the mobile version.
Okay.
So yeah, it's quite interesting, the loophole that people find and exploit to just simply push things out.
That's wild.
So that begs the question, like you don't know what you don't know. So imagine like what's high. It's almost like this ocean, we don't know what's out there in the ocean, like deep ocean and stuff. So imagine what's actually on YouTube or on like Spotify or Facebook or Twitch that we have no idea about.
The thing is, like, I feel that YouTube, because obviously it's powered by Google and their AI systems are so probably even too aggressive. I think there wouldn't be much.
YouTube's still okay.
Yeah, probably wouldn't be much, but like Facebook, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Obviously, Spotify we're finding out, and Twitch. But yeah, I don't know. I think it kind of reminds you a little bit of the Wild West internet, you know, when this stuff used to happen a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, yeah, there's still a little bit of that.
Facebook's so bad with this kind of things, because just the other day I saw this almost like this guy who did a TikTok essentially, and then he posted, like somebody else posted this X person's TikTok on their video. It was like a viral video, right? And then somebody else also kind of took the video, posted it natively on their own profile. And what Facebook was showing was like, oh, see more original videos from person Y, even though that person Y stole from TikTok. So like things like that on Facebook is just rampant. They're just not good with this kind of stuff yet. Anyway.
There's a story I could tell, but it involves someone I can't mention. But anyway, we'll move on.
Okay.
But yeah.
Just on that note, on social media stuff. So YouTube on Tuesday rolled out a new revenue sharing tool for content creators on its YouTube Shorts, and that basically is its latest effort to really take down or counter what TikTok's been doing with their growth. So under the new plan, YouTube creators will be able to capture a portion of the revenue generated from ads that run between the Shorts videos. So you'll watch 5 shorts and then you'll get an ad. So the ads won't be within Shorts itself. And YouTube plans, it was already 30-second clip, and you put like a 30-second ad in between. And YouTube plans to put 45% of the revenue generated by the ads into a pool, and then it'll be distributed to creators based on their share of the total Shorts views, which I think is a huge deal.
But that model kind of seems similar to what TikTok does, as in the revenue has a pool. I mean, the creators have a pool, and you get your split from that.
Yeah, but I think with TikTok, their pool is set.
Yeah.
This one will be expansive. So that's why when was it Hank Green who did that video on TikTok's revenue split? Like the more popular he was getting, the less money he was getting, which will be the opposite in the Shorts case, because that'll be expansive. Even the model is the same, you're right.
Yeah. There's a couple of things kind of related but adjacent. Do you watch Instagram Reels? So you're on Instagram quite a bit.
Yeah.
You do? Okay. Because I was under the impression that not many people did once, because that report came out quite recently, right? That for some creators, their engagement was 0 on Reels. But yeah, so I think, you know, Instagram's kind of copied the TikTok method, and YouTube's kind of gone down that road as well. And I think Instagram probably isn't going to, in the long term, get there. But I think YouTube probably stands the best chance of doing it. And I think this is a great step. And I think what TikTok is going to do is basically copy this revenue sharing model. I think that's the way it's going to go. But again, I'm not a huge Shorts person, so like I'm not huge on this.
So, somebody said it's great that I can go from being a TikToker to being a shorty.
Shorty.
Just the hip hop terminology.
A woman.
But I agree. I think it's Instagram's like Reels is suffering. One thing that we kept talking about TikTok is that even though it's great for engagement, it's so hard to build a community. But I think the great stuff for YouTube Shorts is that existing big creators with long form content can also now jump into this pool, and that's where YouTube will have that advantage. And for me, this is advantage YouTube, like huge news for creators with big following that can dive into this.
Yeah. So TikTok is like, it's. If we compare the two and just say like maybe this goes well for YouTube, like if you look at them platform for platform, like TikTok has only got this specialty of short content, but YouTube has, you know, it's so much wider than that. So it almost lends itself to being like this cross-pollination of, you know, you feel like Shorts for a bit and then you can go back to long form and that kind of thing, which is pretty cool.
And in more cases than not, like people who are fully on TikTok, they have these content that they make, like their focus is on, I'm gonna make first 30-second content and then I'm gonna make another 30-second content, right? That. But then the longer form creators, they make the full content and then they take parts of it and turn it into smaller content. So essentially they don't have to do extra stuff except maybe for their editing team or themselves if they edit. So that again is an advantage for creators. Yeah. We're foreshadowing a bit here for anyone listening.
Also, wasn't there like people talking about? So I have YouTube Premium, so I'm not sure about this, but people were talking about extra ads coming, like up to 5 ads before a video, or even 10 ads on YouTube.
I haven't heard about that.
I saw a screenshot on Twitter saying like, "Are you serious, guys?" And it had like ads 1 of 10, and I was like, really? I don't know if it was Photoshop, but I was like, man, like, what are you guys? What's YouTube doing? I know times are hard, but people have got to watch the videos still. So,
but I think for creators or anyone like that, I think just going to so many different platforms has always been the struggle. But I think, and as I was thinking about this just last week, is that I think we're getting to a point where being on platforms is less important for growing in the specific platform, but more important for your overall brand. So essentially your face or your voice is more important to be present on all these platforms than for you to get X number of viewers or X number of followers on each platform individually.
I agree, but I think there's like a threshold as well. Like if you have 1 trillion subscribers on YouTube and then 1 on each of the other platforms, it's kind of like what, you know.
So it's essentially, I think what the way I think about it is that it'll follow you around, and then basically it'll follow around to your main thing if you do have a main kind of platform. But you know, and I don't know. We'll have to kind of see. But there's more kind of these come out. You'll just have to be on these things, just even to compete, because you never know which one's gonna pop off. Kind of thing. Like Be Real. Apparently, they missed the 21st September notification push out.
Oh, they did.
The one thing you had one job is to get that push out notification. They missed it on 21st September.
So the site was just empty.
That was just empty. No one just posted it.
Wow, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, imagine that being your first day as an intern and then you miss it.
Fired straight away.
I'm just gonna be real with you, man.
Yeah,
just not cut for the job.
In Instagram copied that, and TikTok did as well. I think TikTok had a Be Real, and it's a span out into a separate app, which is nuts.
Finally, just a bit of hardware news. I just quickly saw Google Pixel Watch being teased by Google, so I think it's definitely coming out next month. It looks like it has a huge bezel, and I'm not very happy with it.
You weren't going to get it anyway, were you?
I was going to get it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why I didn't get a new Fitbit, because I was hoping to get into the Pixel Watch, but then and especially just the way it looks, just the look that's bothering me. But again, I'm on the the Google world in terms of software and everything. So I'll still probably get it. We'll see how it pans out. But every time I look at Apple products today, like that, the Ultra Watch is just so nice.
So hopefully you're not going to buy the Pixel and just every time you look at it.
I was like, oh, God. That's my reminder to move to Apple. Oh, God. Oh, Ultra. Yeah, just save up for $800.
Or US.
So it's like, what, $1,000?
Yeah, so I was actually, just before the show, just thinking about like the next phone I was going to get. Because I checked out when this phone came out, and it was like August of 2020. So it's been, 2 years.
2 years, wow.
And crackback, it's
literally, just for those, and we didn't press record then, but he just dropped the phone like bang on before we started the show.
It's seen worse. And I never had a case. Never ever had a case.
Aren't you a case guy at all?
No.
Really?
No.
I've always been a case guy.
I used to be, and then they got thinner and thinner until I just took them off. Like as in there's thin plastic ones, and I just took it off. Because what's the point of getting such a beautiful phone if you don't?
Yeah, true.
So this only happened on my most recent trip in Europe when I was getting out of an Uber.
Oh.
But apart from that,
I drop my phone a lot.
I never usually drop it. So okay.
apart from like
10 seconds ago, before this podcast. But yeah, so I was looking at when this was released, and I was like, wow, 2 years old. I really should be looking for something new. And I'm right in that crossroads where I'm like, I've got the iPad.
Move to Apple. Do it.
Thinking of a MacBook.
Do it. Brayden has done it. It's time for you, and that'll give me confidence that it's my time as well.
But the thing is, the customized Android, just the way you can customize it.
Like we always put that point, but how much customization do we actually do?
I admit it's been less, but look at this. For everyone, I've got the dynamic island.
It comes with Apple.
But yeah, customization. not being locked. I'm listing things here. Not being locked out of, locked into something. I don't know. Like,
I think we're running out of the list. That list would have been like 10 pointers 5 years ago.
But then also I look at the iPhone 14 that just came out, and the camera's not that much better than the 13. So I'm like, maybe I'll just wait till next year, and then the iPhone 15, I'll make the switch at the same time, get the MacBook Pro with an M3 Max, and then we're cooking with fire. This is. Yeah,
then we'll get like 10 Cold Fusion videos in a week.
It's like got AI that just makes the videos.
That close. We'll revisit this podcast next year. But it is. I'm on the same crossroads as well, man. Like, it just feels like the hardware and the software. It's just so nice with Apple these days. It's expensive, but it just seems to carry its own weight in a lot of ways. And the more I think about it, unless again Google does something, I've been a big fan of Google. Like just last week, my phone memory, photos memory showed my first Pixel that I had bought, and I took a photo of that with my new phone. And Nexus was the first one, early 2000s. So I've been a Google faithful for a while, like almost 10 years now. And unless they do something drastically different, because their camera was like top notch
for a long time.
For a long time, but now I think that's also becoming close as well.
When I went to New York in 2019 for a YouTube event, they gave everyone a Pixel. So it was the Pixel 3? I think it was the Pixel 3. It
would have been 3, yeah.
And I had a note, well, the note before this one, and I noticed straight away just like certain things were like the vibration mode was great. The photos that it took was just so good. Like at night, wow.
Yeah, the night mode was incredible at the time.
Yeah, so good. And the voice dictation of just like automatically having everything go down was second to none. But for that phone, what kind of killed it for me was the battery life. It was horrendously bad. I was like, I can't believe this. Like, so that kind of ended things for me in the Pixel. And then obviously it didn't have the stylus, and the screen wasn't as big, and there were certain things that I needed. But yeah, good for you if you're going on that Pixel route. I
mean, still, and that's why I'm going to get the watch, because I've been excited for an additional Pixel hardware. I didn't get the Pixel Book, and they just killed the Pixel Book, by the way.
Yeah, just they
just killed the Pixel Book a few weeks ago. And well, I guess as soon as it comes out next month, I'll try to get my hands on it and maybe report back as to how I feel. Looks wise, I'm just not a big fan still. The bezel looks like massive, at least from the teasers.
So I've only seen a still screenshot, and only in the context of a YouTuber saying, "Hey, we did this mock up a year ago, and it looks like Google stole it." That's the only context I've gotten, but from that it didn't.
Yeah, I'll just quickly show you here. It just came out like 17 hours ago.
Okay. Apple Watch-esque.
Yeah, the round shape.
See, I'm not a fan of what.
So see how big the bezel.
That's not what bezel. That's just the screen, isn't it?
That's what it looks like, but from the teasers, see all of them. That looks huge.
No. That's not. There's no way the bezel's going to go up to that. No way. They got to show like swiping through a menu. I think.
I hope so, man.
I think it's going to be quite a bit thinner. Like they're just showing all black, but I doubt. Because even
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but their current smartwatch, it doesn't have a bezel as big as what you're claiming there.
Well, they don't have a Pixel Watch. This is the first one.
Oh, I'm thinking of Google Wear. Okay. Okay. Well, good luck.
just lift me up and then throw me off the cliff.
Okay. Damn.
Because that's where you can end it off.
Yeah. All right. Well. Yeah. I was going to say something, but I don't know. All right. Thanks for watching and listening, guys. And until next time. See ya.